Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for pro wrestling insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. We're less than 24 hours away now from WWE's latest premium live event, Night of Champions, where the new World Heavyweight Champion will be crowned and Roman Reigns will attempt to add yet another 2 belts to his arsenal. To join me to give their predictions for the show today, firstly, the co-host of the show, Clark Taylor. How are you, Clark?
I'm doing so great. It feels good to fully be back in the swing of things. And we've got a double, triple, quadruple pay-per-view weekend this weekend. There's basically nothing to complain about. I'm stoked. First show I've done with Shad. Fired up about that. Stoked to see Coby again. I mean, pretty much nothing could go wrong today for me. So I don't have much more than that.
Every single show, you're just stealing my introductions for everybody now.
Sorry, that's on me.
Surprise over.
I'm excited. I'm hanging out with my friends.
Also joining, like Clark just said, firstly, the head of reviewing, Coby Galenzoski. How are you today, Coby?
What's going on? Making my return, and like Clark exactly said, we have a wrestling-filled weekend. There's 4 or 5 events that we can watch. I know there's Impact, which has a good card. And then the big ones are Night of Champions, NXT Battleground, and Double or Nothing. There's too much wrestling for the head of reviewing, as I'm going to be crowded, but I made this. I succeeded last year during All Out, and I can succeed this time as well.
Confidence is key, but yeah, wow. I didn't even think about that, Coby. That is a lot of shows to review this weekend. But also joining us once again, Shad. How are you today, Shad?
What's going on, fellas? I am doing fantastic over here. As a wrestling fan, obviously now is wrestling media journalism. You live for these type of weekends, man. You get to enjoy live events, pay-per-views, matches upon matches, and I'm here for it all, man. Shout outs to y'all. I'm excited to be obviously on my first podcast with Clark, but yeah, let's get to it.
Absolutely. I'm excited to have all of you guys here, and it's going to be one hell of a show. And let's firstly talk about Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles. And of course, this is to crown the new World Heavyweight Champion. It's still unknown if this is going to be, a new line or if they're continuing the old World Heavyweight Championship. It looks like it's going to be a new one. They're not going to acknowledge the past because the past is tied to the current Universal now. It's complicated, but yeah, it looks like it's a new championship. But this match needs to make the championship feel very major and very important. And there, of course, needs to be a promo package before the match to really hype it up as well. Going into the show, this should be, it's Night of Champions. It's really built around this title. I don't think it's going to be main eventing, though. I actually think it's going to go third from last, I think that's where it would fit. I'll get a bit more into that later on. But yeah, for me, Seth Rollins' character is someone who, he was never meant to be the guy, but then he got the chance to be the guy by joining the Authority and turning on his brothers to get there. Eventually realizing that Triple H took advantage of him, and then he went, he realized that he went the wrong way to become the WWE champion, and then eventually, after a few years, managed to get back to the top of the mountain, becoming Universal champion, and this time doing it the right way, and he expected to be loved for it. However, fans very, very quickly turned on him, which just killed his ego and made him go crazy. And then he believed that he was a messiah before another identity crisis and becoming the visionary. And then eventually, right now, the fans love him again. He's getting back to the top of the mountain. And I believe that it is time for Rollins to reclaim that throne to become the World Heavyweight Champion again. While, he holds up the championship and all the fans sing along to his theme. And yeah, I think this is going to eventually lead to him becoming obsessed with the championship and wanting that reaction with the fans. And he's going to do, whatever. I think he's going to end up being heel again during this title reign. Because yeah, I mean that would be consistent with his character to just have him go absolutely crazy, craving that attention that the championship will give him. But I'm excited for this match. Seth Rollins to me is the obvious winner. I mean, AJ Styles really hasn't helped his case by basically trashing the championship in interviews. But that's another story for another day. But my prediction, Seth Rollins. And Clark, I'm going to go to you first. Who do you think is going to get the victory in this one?
I mean, on paper, it seems illogical to pick against Seth. So for me to present something different than that is hard to do. But if I had to, boy,
you don't
would it be
have
funny
to. It's a prediction
if they
show.
swerved us and it was AJ. But if I'm predicting, it's Seth. If they were to swerve us, though, and give us AJ, I would be tickled, especially if they put on a 30-minute classic and they go out there and do everything and they tease us 5 times. It's Seth. This is what you thought. This is what you thought. Oh, rug out from under you. That could be fun. And I don't know where you go from there exactly, but I don't have a problem with a heel OC and a heel AJ and the numbers game either. Speaking of turning people heel as champions, and then you don't take away the singing and the organic babyface praise that Seth has gotten basically the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And so there is still, I think, a tiny window for AJ. But if you're asking me specifically my prediction, it's Seth Rollins over AJ Styles. I via either super stomp or double super stomp or a lot of stomping.
A lot of stomping from Seth Rollins there. But yeah, I mean, just to be clear, by the way, when I'm talking about Seth eventually kind of turning heel, and it's not like a complete brutal heel turn that I'm on about here. It's just, I mean, it's possible fans will even root for him then. But I'm on about, 8 to 9 months now, WrestleMania season. As a babyface champion, fans likely will end up turning on him slightly by then anyway. But he's just doing whatever he can to defend the title. Maybe fans will still love him. I'm not on about him coming out and dissing fans constantly, but he'll do whatever, to retain that title, to keep that attention, as it just makes a lot of sense with his character for that to be the case. And if I'm looking at it from a character perspective, which you guys know I love to do, I love the storyline progression. To me, that would make sense long term. But of course, not yet. But you also touched upon it. Heel AJ Styles, and he had a phenomenal pun. A pun wasn't even intended there, but he did have a phenomenal heel turn a few years back. I mean, heel AJ was the best. He really was. Yeah. But Shad, I'll go to you next. Who do you think will be winning this one?
I kind of agree with both of you guys. I think it's a little inevitable that Seth Rollins is going to win tomorrow night. I do think the match is going to be spectacular. I mean, AJ Styles to me is like one of the best in-ring like talents of all time, in my opinion. Like, I think he's one of the greatest pro wrestlers, and I think Seth is one of the, respectfully, a future Hall of Famer in his own right. But I mean, yeah, like as you've been saying, Seth has been putting the groundwork in, man. He's really got the crowd over. He's had, in my mind, some of the most captivating like storyline and feuds and building into feuds in the last like few years. And I mean, he's kind of virtually just been short sold of not getting an opportunity to get a world title. And I think now he's well deserving of it. I think that belt is kind of his prize. I know there's a bug in the ear that a lot of people have put in that, oh, well, he's going to be going to Hollywood and he's filming and stuff like that. I don't think that's going to be a major issue. I think we'll still be able to see him, as weekly on television as you need to do. I think he'll be a fighting champ. And yeah, I think the character work of him playing the role of, a beloved wrestler that everyone loves, whether he's got heel tendencies or whether he's a babyface. I mean, the magnitude of feuds that you can have with him, I think he'd be a perfect inaugural champ for him off the bat with this new belt.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you there. But Coby, what is your prediction for the match? Do you maybe think they might go with the AJ upset?
Not at all. That's the thing, and we've talked about this on the show multiple times. seeing how Seth has been presented, Seth is getting, well, at the time he had 4 segments dedicated to getting interviewed by Corey Graves. What do you think? Why is this the time to be to introduce a new champion? Why do you think you're the best for it? And then AJ Styles is over here getting the Grayson Waller effect and then getting a match with Karrion Kross. Like, necessarily, if you're going booking wise, Seth is sitting here as they are very much projecting him as this is the guy that's going to win it. If I had to say I had a problem with the build-up of this match, that is the exact problem it is. They should have been doing it both ways, to where they're both trying to sell you on why they are going to be the champion and they will beat the other to win the championship. It's been built too predictable. I don't see them going for the swerve unless that is the future, that you are going for Styles and a Styles Rollins rematch at SummerSlam, which is a big match at the end of the day. But I don't know where else you could go there. We've talked about this brand making no sense. We have a lot of picks that are weird, and we have the women's title being switched. It's like, well, okay, so they haven't explained it. What happens if AJ Styles wins? Do they explain it tonight or tomorrow? Maybe. But who knows? They should be explaining, well, since this person could win the title, what would happen as the champion? AJ has to go to Raw. There's no way you're going to have both top world titles on SmackDown. It doesn't make sense. There's been a lot of holes in the draft in its entirety, and it's a mess, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, so far the draft has certainly been, questionable, but we're only a few weeks in, so let's give it a bit of time and see if it establishes itself as far as the women's championships go. I mean, I guess we'll get into that a bit later on in the show, but I think soon enough they'll have a solution for that. I'm not sure what the solution will be. I think there's an easy solution, and that's just renaming the titles and introducing a new belt, and I kind of do think that's where they're going at this point, because it's been a little bit of time. I feel like they're getting designs ready or something like that. But now let's move on to the next match, and let's talk Gunther versus Mustafa Ali. And this match has been built awfully. That's just the way it's been. It's been awful. It's been an awful build to it. And Ali's treatment this past week on Raw was just straight up bad. But his promo he posted to social media after the show was exceptional. And at the end of the day, WWE, at this point in time anyway, have not acknowledged that promo on WWE TV. So it's not even necessarily kayfabe at this point. But many people expect this match to just be a squash. And it very, very, very well could be because of the build to it. Gunther's Gunther. He's very, very, he's basically been undefeated on the main roster in singles action. But I actually hope this isn't a squash. Of course, Gunther's going to win it. That's obvious. But I think this match should actually open the show and go 20, 25 minutes. I think this match just shock everyone, right? And I've been watching Gunther for years now, since he was Volta back in the day. And the one thing which he's always been exceptional at is putting over talent while still winning matches. He's done it over and over and over again, and I think this is what needs to be done here today. Ali needs to look so strong in defeat. And of course, Gunther will still get the win. He'll still look strong. But that might then get fans behind Ali, and perhaps you can then take him somewhere else after this feud. But he needs to put on a good showing at Night of Champions in order to do that. I am worried it's going to be a squash, and I think another match on the card will be a squash. I really hope this one isn't. But I'm just hoping they give it time, because this could be a banger if they do. Shad, what's your prediction?
All right, so I got quite an opinion on this entire match. In regards to the build up to the feud, I agree with you 100% wholeheartedly. I think they've done a disservice to Mustafa Ali in regards to the build up to this entire thing, especially on Raw. I mean, you saw that he was gonna really pour his heart out and how much this match means to him, in regards to everything in retrospective for him as a competitor where he's been. And I mean, you just make him belittled with a little haha chuckle moment with Brock Lesnar, and I mean that goes viral, whatever it may be. You're really, you know, hindering your star who has a pretty premier match against one of the most premier superstars who's had a phenomenal title reign by doing that. But I mean, that's here or there. In regards to the match, I absolutely love the matchup. I think both of these gentlemen are incredible performers in the ring. I think they both do very good stuff in a skill set that they're going to have a good style clash. And I really do think and hope that this match will not be a squash. I think it's the fact that two things. One, you got to realize the setting of the thing. Mustafa Ali is a Muslim American man fighting in Saudi Arabia, where there's going to be a bunch of kids that have the same, heritage, religious, that look just like him there. He's going to be a super, underdog and someone the fans are going to root for. I think he's going to lose. If you let him get squashed in that crowd, I don't know. That makes it a little bit rough for the crowd for it to happen. So I think they're going to let them have a little bit of a distance. I say maybe a 15, 20-minute bout. Yeah, and I think Ali's going to, fight from behind, have his moments where he'll, have you like, will he get his moment? Will it happen? Will it happen? But ultimately, Gunther will win. It only makes sense. Gunther has had a phenomenal title reign. Everything he's doing right now is clicking on all cylinders, and you need him to eventually take that honky tonk man record away for the title reign for the IC. So I got Gunther winning, but I think this is going to be a banger, and it is my dark horse for match of the night.
Absolutely. And Clark, I think you've got something to add to this.
I do. Shad, you were so spot on, and it made me think, this is so unfair to Ali. I'm a Chicago guy, big fan of Ali's. This wasn't a stone left unturned on the build, because it should be match of the night. On paper, it's as good of a matchup as we have.
Mhm.
We had an opportunity for a Zelina Vega in Puerto Rico like moment with Ali, and we'll still get something like that. But we had an opportunity to build to that and build him as the way that Zelina was built to Puerto Rico. We're still going to get a big pop from the crowd and all of that.
Right.
But I agree that I think Ali really got the short end of the stick on the build to this, because in the ring, this match is going to look a heck of a lot better than the story. It's going to be outstanding bell to bell, I think. I think you're spot on with that dark horse match of the night, no doubt.
For sure. I just think that I agree with you on that. I feel like you saw that. Like, I love international crowds. Like, give us more. Give us more. We saw what happened with Montreal. We saw what happened in San Juan. These Saudi shows, the crowd goes nuts as well. Like, I love it. These people don't get wrestling a lot, and they appreciate it so much. In a moment like that, yeah, I agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a stone left unturned.
Yes. No, it absolutely is. You're both very, very much right here. I mean, part of me is hoping that perhaps they will do what I said, and that's why they kind of want people to just doubt Ali, and Gunther goes in doubting Ali, and then Ali shocks him, comes very close to taking the title off Gunther, but Gunther gets the win in the end. And, a star-making performance for Ali. That's what I hope will happen. But I don't think that's the way they're going. But who knows? Maybe they will shock me, because it just felt too much like a burial on Raw. It was like, either, unless he's done something behind the scenes that's really upset them, I'd be shocked if Triple H has done him that dirty. But who knows? I mean, at this point in wrestling, I've stopped trying to predict, why booking is what way it is. But hopefully this match will be good. Hopefully Ali will feel like a star. But I think we can all agree Gunther will be walking out still the Intercontinental Champion. And let's talk about another match on the card, which is quite obvious and also hasn't had a good build. And that is Rhea Ripley versus Natalya. I mean, truthfully, there just isn't much to say about this match. There's been no real build for it. it feels like this is just kind of a way to get Rhea Ripley on the card because, of course, she's becoming such a star so quickly for the company and is also a champion in its Night of Champions. But I mean, the Universal technically isn't being defended, but still. Rhea Ripley now is truly, she's breaking into the mainstream. The amount of friends of mine who are nowhere, like they're not remotely wrestling fans, who have sent me pictures of her saying, oh, who's this and all of that, because everyone loves her luck, the badass luck that she has. And she's really, really over right now. She's a true star for WWE. I said this in my, it's not out yet, but my WrestleMania 44 predictions article, which will be coming out very, very soon, that I truly believe Rhea Ripley is going to end up being WWE's most popular mainstream women's star of all time by the time she's done with the company, because she's only 26 now. But yeah, this match, fairly obvious to me. I think Rhea Ripley is going to get the victory against Natalya. But Coby, what do you think about this match? And do you think perhaps there could be an upset?
I mean, yeah, that's the thing, is this is a match that Natalya can't win. Rhea Ripley starting this championship reign, and they're bringing new faces into the title reign. We haven't necessarily seen Natalya have a title shot in a while, but we just had Zelina Vega have a marquee match in Puerto Rico. This is a match Natalya obviously can't win. Rhea Ripley needs to take the victory. The only thing I can complain is exactly like you said, the build-up has not been good. Because we saw Monday that it's like, well, Rhea Ripley is going to say, well, Natalya, you got my attention. I'm going to challenge you. Let's make this match official. And then we don't see Natalya at all. Natalya posts a video like Mustafa Ali and saying something about maybe you're right that I was trying to save myself when I came out to save Dana Brooke. But I can't remember the rest of the video. But at the end of the day, this is a match that's predictable. I think it could be solid. Like, it could be somewhat technical, but it can't go like too long. It has to be one of those breather matches that, yes, Rhea Ripley gets to be in the front of the crowd in that way, but it can't go 15, 20 minutes. It's got to go less than 10. It's got to be one of those breather matches that kind of gives the crowd a break, even though, like I said, the Rhea Ripley will be over, or at least should be over. Yeah. But she has to go over in this match. There's nothing else that can be said in this match.
Yeah. I mean, truthfully, even though I think another match later on in the card, just to talk about later, I think will be a squash. I wouldn't mind this being pretty much a squash match, because Natalya will be fine from it. She doesn't need, performance to look great. Her accolades, her experience have proven that. And establishing Rhea Ripley as just, a real force in that women's division is going to be very good for them long term. And yeah, I'm actually going to be talking about who I think Rhea Ripley will be feuding with next in just a second, because the next match which we're going to talk about is Trish Stratus taking on Becky Lynch. And this is a feud which a lot of people have praised. Some people criticized that segment on Raw last week. That was, it seemed to be a love or hate it type of thing. But the fact of the matter is, this is if you want to call it a mid-card women's feud, which isn't for a title. And that is something which we don't see enough of. So I'm absolutely delighted that we are seeing one like this. But I do think also Trish Stratus versus Becky Lynch is the hardest match on the card to predict. It really could go either way, to be honest. But I think Lita is going to return to help Becky get the victory, leading to Trish versus Lita one final time at SummerSlam. So that is my prediction. While I think then Becky at SummerSlam will go off to fight Rhea Ripley, because I believe that is a huge money match. That is a stadium match right there. The man versus the mammy, if you want to call it that. And I think that would be an absolutely brilliant feud. But Clark, what is your prediction for this match? Do you see it possible that Trish will get the victory?
I'm so excited about this match. It feels like we have vintage Stratusfaction, and Becky Lynch has felt as close to being the man she's felt in a long time. On the microphone, I loved what you brought up about Lita. My prediction for tonight, I've got Becky winning the match. I think Becky comes out on top in this one. Not by submission. I think this might be a roll-up finish. Maybe an Owen Hart finish.
Oh,
Classic little Owen Hart finish. I think might be awesome. And shout out, this is the unfortunate anniversary week of Owen, but yeah, that would be my prediction is Becky by Owen Hart finish. But to expound upon that, Trish Lita still in the cards. I think without question. It's interesting to note with the women's matches on these Saudi Arabia cards, it's such a cool thing, and both like in ring and politically and all of that. But the performers do still have to wrestle in those full body suits, and it's so hot. I don't know if you can schedule these matches as long as you could in a different venue, because it's just easier to blow up, right? Like if you make an NBA player play in a hoodie, it's going to suck more sweat out of him than playing in a tank top, or a WNBA player. Doesn't matter either side, right? And just having to perform in the extra clothing, it makes things more difficult. And I just hope that these two matches get enough time, and that, you know, we remember that that's a factor, because it does make it more difficult to perform, especially when you're not used to performing in that gear.
Yeah, no, that it makes a lot of sense there, Clark. What you said about it. I mean, I do think that it will be, of course, a factor but we're gonna have to wait and see, because there have been a few women's matches which have gone on there, and it hasn't seemed, you know, as big of a factor as I would have expected it to be. But here's my question for you, Clark. Right? Do you think that it's possible Lita might actually return and help Trish?
So that would be wild. I actually think, if anything, it would have been the opposite had they not turned Trish already. To now turn Lita as well, I don't know. It'd be interesting if they found, for an along the way to SummerSlam for a tag team mid-card rivalry, somebody else to help Trish and Lita helps Becky. Because they were the original team together. I'd be more inclined to that. Maybe if Damage Control wasn't such a sham, my favorite performer, Bayley, would be perfect for that spot.
She's on the other brand now, though, anyway.
I know. It's out of the equation. I don't know who it would be, but maybe maybe Victoria helps Trish. That would be cool if you could bring Victoria back. I don't know. I think it would have to be from the legend category, though.
Yeah.
For it
it's
to
like
work.
On GM mode, where you don't have enough options. You have to go into the legends category.
I think you'd have to dive. I think you'd have to dip your toes into the legends on my GM.
Yep. Oh gosh, but no, I do agree with you there. I mean, part of me does think perhaps, you know, Lita could return and say Trish. I've had a think about it, and you're right. These younger stars, they're not showing us the respect that we deserve. However, at the same time, my gut tells me that it's going to be Trish versus Lita one final time, and I certainly would not complain about seeing that. But now let's move on to another women's match, and this being for the women's Raw Women's Championship, or as it actually is now, the Raw Women's Championship on SmackDown. Again, Coby, you spoke about it earlier. It's all just a bit confusing. But listen, Bianca Belair will be defending against Asuka, and Bianca Belair's historic championship, women's championship reign has been outstanding. It absolutely has been. It's been legendary, and it will certainly go down in the history books. However, in my opinion, it will end tomorrow, because I really do think that Asuka is going to be getting the victory here. Asuka feels, like a bigger star right now than she ever has done in WWE, arguably. Maybe the exception being during NXT, but she really feels like a star right now with this new heel gimmick. I'm loving it. Another factor is if Bianca beats this version of Asuka, I do think the fans will turn on Bianca. They already are to an extent, some of them. And that's something you really don't want. You do not want to heel Bianca because she sells so much merch. She's a big merch mover for the company. And yeah, I mean, she's somebody great to have as, one of the women's faces of the company. But Shad, what is your thoughts on this match, and who do you see walking out as Raw Women's Champion on SmackDown?
Raw Women's Champion on SmackDown. That is true. Man, it's very difficult for me to. I'm at a toss up for this one. I will say this before I pick who my winner is. I have enjoyed the build up to this feud a lot more compared to their last one. I like that they're kind of like letting Oscar like just I think my fiance was saying like, is their whole feud like why does Oscar just go and spray at her like just throwing the mist? But like Oscar's really like kind of gone to like a bit of a like this this evil side of her, like similar to how she was previously before the WWE, um, out in Japan, and like it'd be very beneficial for her to win the title. But for me, it's hard for me to see Bianca get the title stripped off of her just yet. I feel like she's done a lot, and I feel like they're really honing on to like just records and accolades, and then having her just being a representation with the belt. That's the only reason I feel like Bianca is going to retain. Although if I had to pick my way, I would probably lean towards Asuka getting her opportunity and winning the belt. But I think Bianca's gonna win. My fear is Bianca's gonna win, and she's probably gonna feud with a returning Charlotte Flair, and
Oh,
we're probably gonna get that match. That's a marquee match, and I think that may be where Bianca loses her title to Charlotte. Um, that's kind of where my mind is. That's where I'm thinking of now. I would not be opposed to Oscar winning. Like I said, I'm the biggest Bianca fan, but I want to see other stars get an opportunity, and I would love to see like Oscar's NXT reign was incredible. But I'm gonna go ahead and say I got Bianca retaining in a pretty good. Like it's gonna be a good match. They had a good match last go around. I think this match will be good too. But I got Mrs. Belair taking that.
nice. I mean, that is the first time today that any of us have disagreed on our predictions. But it's good to be honest that there's at least one match where we're disagreeing because this card does feel slightly predictable. But
I'm gonna go on Shad's side and take Bianca too. By the way,
oh wow, okay,
while
wow,
we're here.
2-1 here.
I'll take Bianca as well. I'm riding with Shad on that one. I actually think it's gonna be another one of the Bianca wins.
Oh wow,
which is awesome.
I mean, that is certainly. I mean, it's certainly a possibility, and I think if you did feud her with Charlotte, that's somebody where I don't think the fans would actually necessarily turn on Bianca in a feud like that because obviously Charlotte Flair, she's got a lot of fans, but also fans are kind of sick of her.
Yeah.
So maybe against Charlotte Flair she'd be okay, but I do still worry if Oscar doesn't win this match, your fans will turn on Bianca Belair because they're already starting to do so.
And my fear is this though, like Oscar, you give her if she takes back to back L's to Bianca, it's like, what do we do with Oscar at that point too? Like they have so much women's talent, but they haven't built a lot of like I think Becky and Trish is like the only non-title feud for women's that I see that's kind of like hot. But like you have like marquee talent, like you have Bailey, you have Io, you have Oscar. Like I really want an Oscar and Io feud on the main roster. Like we like we need to have stuff like that. And it feels like I get worried like if she does lose, then it's back to all right, well, what do we really have to do with her? Like, are we gonna make a makeshift tag team and put her for that tag title that doesn't matter? Like, so that's my fear. That's why I kind of want Oscar to win because I think Bianca does have the luxury of like she loses, you can sit her out for a little bit, like a month or two, and let her come back to SummerSlam or let her come back to Money in the Bank and let her fight back and get back to the title. But I just don't think they book like that.
Yeah, no, it is a difficult one. And we got Rick Taylor in the chat, and he is asking, wouldn't Bianca Belair sell more new merch as a heel? And here's the thing: when heels tend to sell a lot, a lot of merch, it's usually with older wrestling fans. Not like older, but teenagers upwards. Whereas Bianca Belair mainly sells her merch to young fans, right? That's her main demographic where she's selling the merch to young girls specifically. She's selling so much merch to that demographic. And that's why, no, I don't think she would sell more merch if she turned heel, because, of course, to the children, if she's turned into a bad guy now, they're heartbroken by it.
She's so over with that.
She's the female Cena, like
Yes.
not in that manner of like worrying about fans turning on her. She does everything good to the book outside of wrestling in the ring. Like,
Shad, she's female Cena, but not corny.
yeah.
She's female Cena, but not corny. Oh, sorry, John. That's on me. I hope he's watching.
He follows us on Twitter, so maybe he saw the tweet.
Oh, what a sweetheart. Never mind, I take it back.
But yeah, no, I don't. With a lot of people, that would be the case, but no, I don't. I don't think Bianca would sell more merch, because they're honestly at this point they're making new merch all the time anyway. And I mean, the Bianca Belair merch is quite cool as well. But anyway, before I get into graphic design, my other interest, let's move on to the next topic, and let's talk Clark's favorite, Cody Rhodes, as he will be taking on Brock Lesnar. And honestly, I was not excited for this match until this past week on Raw, where WWE did a phenomenal job at making me care. Cody going into the match injured makes it obvious, well, at least I hope, that he will lose and that Lesnar will get the victory. However, despite what I said the other day, I don't think this would be a complete squash. And I'll tell you why. I think this match is going for about 5 minutes, right? With Cody getting some strikes in, a few punches here and there, but Lesnar not taking any bumps. Cody's never able to get Lesnar down, and Lesnar's just completely taking out Cody, right? Suplex after suplex, but Cody keeps kicking out. Maybe even one F5. No more than one F5. No kicking out of more than one F5, though. I'm not having that. But maybe he'll kick out of a single F5, Cody, and Lesnar's like, what on earth? I'm completely squashing this dude, and he's just not dying. And then after about 5 minutes, Cody will lose, and Lesnar will get the win without Lesnar getting, going and taking one bump. Cody will get strikes in, like I said, like what's happening on Raw this week, but in every exchange, Lesnar will end up getting the upper hand. So I guess it kind of is a squash match, a prolonged squash match, if you want to call it that. But, one which makes Cody look relentless, make him look like he doesn't want to give up. He's got a broken arm. That's what they're saying. He wore a cast at the press conference earlier today. But, yeah, he's got a broken arm, but he's still giving it his all. And, yes, Lesnar will undoubtedly get the victory here. Well, he should. So that is my prediction. But, Clark, let me go to you first. Who do you see winning this match? And so what do you want to talk about?
I was about to ask, so hang on, wait, what was it that you wanted to talk about? So we're going to talk about Cody and Brock, and I hope Brock breaks his other arm tonight.
Oh my gosh.
So that he has to wear a headset to ask us what we want to talk about next time. That would be my ideal scenario. Is like you planned it perfectly with a few strikes and all that, then just break the other one. And then he can't hold a mic. He's got to stuff the two casts into a suit, a lot of extra tailoring work, and then stop asking us what we want to talk about and just talk about what you want to talk about and be Cody Rhodes, because he should be the most over babyface in the WWE right now. And there's an argument to be made that he is, but it just bugs me to death. It's so corny, you can't make it up. And it's the same stuff that got the AEW fan base to turn on him in his previous company. It's the same stuff that's going to cause the same thing here if we don't get that figured out. It's just too cornball. It's too ridiculous. We get it. He's fought with one arm before against Seth Rollins. He's going to fight Brock Lesnar with one arm. Stop it. Knock it off. You're kidding me.
I thought you liked this story now, Clark.
I like the story now that the arm's broken, but if he's not going to get squashed, I will be disappointed because Brock Lesnar better squash a one-armed Cody Rhodes, right? It took everything he had to roll him up, and the last one with both arms, now he doesn't have both arms. Yeah. The idea of Cody Rhodes possibly throwing a few punches and showing like his resilience would be great, but he better get his butt whipped, for lack of a better term. John Cena took, 30 German suplex at 2014 SummerSlam. I was there at Crypto.com Arena now, or formerly Staples Center. It was hilarious. Hey, this should look that ugly. This needs to look that ugly. Cody's got one arm, and I also think for us to have empathy towards a babyface, understanding that he still fought with one arm and got crushed like that makes him more likable than if he's Super Hogan coming back from a bunch of stuff and like, oh, all of a sudden, like he's got superpowers, like, or Super Cena, like he can overcome everything, right? It's one thing to do it once in the Hell in a Cell against Rollins with a torn pec. He's got a broken arm now. Break the other one.
Clark, is your version of this storyline just Lesnar trying to take out Cody limb by limb until Cody can't say, so what do you want to talk about? So then, like you said, he's got to wear the headset. So then Lesnar then goes for his teeth. And then it's just...
I want both. Both sides. No, I like to make fun of, so what do you want to talk about? But honestly, for babyface, like, love, I think actually like him showing a fight but getting beat up is better for him in the long run than Cody putting on too much of a fight against Brock. That's another easy way to turn on him because it's not believable anymore, and that's when it stops being, that's when it ceases to be fun. And that's kind of my main point. As much as I like to make fun of the catchphrase because it is goofy, but like I understand that it's over too. Like at the end of the day, I don't know. He says it every time. He must think it is.
I mean,
I think in his eyes, he thinks it's over.
Yeah. But no, I do agree with you. You want him, in my eyes, I don't want him to just be, 5 seconds in F5 done. I want it to be, a 4 or 5 minute match where he gets some offense in and has to, he gets completely beaten up, but he keeps kicking out. Not out of more than one F5, though. That's where I draw the line.
Mostly ragdoll Germans.
Yeah.
Suplex
and
City.
Then eventually F5, 1, 2, 3, after about 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah. Lesnar not taking a single bump. That would be chef's kiss, in my opinion. But Coby, what do you think? What do you want to talk about?
I think the biggest thing that coming into this match is Cody can't win this match. And we all said this at Backlash. And because, like I said last time, we're thinking 3 to 4 steps ahead. If Cody wins this, where do they go from here? They can't. There's nowhere to go. Unless he wins and then he loses his Money in the Bank qualifier because of his damage. But even then, it's like, that's bad booking. Brock can't go into this match with Cody Rhodes having a quote-unquote broken arm and taking the L when Brock Lesnar is being billed as the most decorated sports combat athlete of all time. You are building Brock Lesnar at the same time you're not. I 100% agree with this. I want it to be longer. I want us to see 30, 40 seconds of a Kimura lock and Cody Rhodes is screaming in agony. Yes. And Cody doesn't give up.
That's great.
I want to see that. I want to see multiple sections of that before Brock says, okay, you don't want to do it, I'll break the other. Or Brock does something else. What if Brock does a guillotine? I'd be interested in. I want this match to be uncomfortable for the Cody Rhodes fan. That's the right booking for this match. I don't think it happens though. I think we are going to get a very even match. As my heart says, it has to be an uncomfortable match. Knowing how things have gone wrong and how our gut feelings have been wrong a lot of the time this year, that's almost the way the direction this match.
Ben, I gotta admit, I have the exact same fear as Cody that this is going to be a back and forth match. I think it's worst case scenario.
I don't. I really strongly don't think. They're not idiots booking this, right? Like, I know that in a couple of matches this year, I mean, the first one being, one of them, they had Cody winning. Like, why? I think this was already all planned out when they made that call. I really do. I think the plan was always for him to win the first match, then get absolutely destroyed, get a lucky win in the first match, then get destroyed in the second match. And that's how they were going to go about it. And you're right, because obviously everyone predicted Cody to beat Roman, but the reason Roman won, they have a clear plan for that. That's why he lost there. Surely they're not out of touch. He's gonna. No way! I can't believe it. I really hope you're wrong, Coby. But I really hope.
I mean, that's all. That's the thing. That's all I'm saying. I'd like to see it, to see the world burn and see how people react to that actually happening.
Yes,
but at the end of the day, booking. No, I meant I'd like to see Cody actually win as a joke to see the world burn. But at the end of the day, no, the right booking is it to be uncomfortable for the Cody Rhodes fan. That is the right booking, but I don't know if they go that route.
Kobe just went full Heath Ledger.
Cody feuds are in 3, aren't they? I feel like there are always 3-match feuds for him.
Yeah.
I still think this is going to end up going to SummerSlam with involving Seth Rollins on that title, but that's a discussion for another day. We've got a couple of comments here. Firstly, we got the APX experience saying shout out to Shadi. And then we've got, and he's also saying Shadi the GOAT as well. Shadi, you're over in the comments today. And he also said, I'm the man. Thank you very much, APX. But we've also got Rick Taylor back in the comments as well.
Shout out my dad.
Cody is the worst child of a superstar in history. He couldn't hold.
Oh my God!
Let's go, Dad. Let's go, Dad.
He could never be Gold Dust.
Scorched Earth. No, that's Dusty Rhodes. That's not.
I'm just saying he could never be. Gold Dust is the real son out of.
By the way, I mean, he mentions that too. Dad, I will say I love those 2 comments. Gold Dust, though, technically Dustin Rhodes is a coach in the women's division for AEW at this point in his career. He ain't coming back to WWE.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest here. Maybe a bit of an exaggeration because there's another child of a wrestler, Ted DiBiase. He's now going to prison for 120 years as of today. So maybe
he's stealing money from innocent people.
The one that came to mind is Von Wagner being Cal Bloom.
Oh yeah,
that is true.
There's definitely some bad ones. There's definitely some bad ones.
The second generation talent.
I like the aggression.
Arn Anderson. What's Arn Anderson's son's name?
On the same page. Maybe it's a Taylor.
Brock Anderson.
Brock Anderson. Yeah.
It's a Taylor boys thing.
Maybe it is a Taylor family thing. The Taylors hate the Rhodes. Yeah. Watching specifically Cody Rhodes. They love the Rhodes. Hate Cody Rhodes.
I just don't. The bleach blonde and the neck tattoo, and then that.
Plus, Dusty Rhodes was the man.
Dusty was the man. Hard times, baby.
But let's move on because we're getting behind now. Let's move on to the main event of the evening tomorrow, which is going to be Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens defending their WWE Undisputed Tag Team Championships against the Bloodlines, Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. And I'm almost certain that this is going to be the main event of the show because it's Roman Reigns, even though I think the world title match probably should be. But I'm also almost certain that Sami and Kevin will be retaining the titles. I'm very confident to say that. However, I have been going back and forth about how they went all week. I was like, well, what if, the Usos turn on Roman and Solo during the match? And I've had to think about it, and I don't think that's going to actually go down. What I think is going to happen is there's going to be a typical Bloodline ref bump, and then the Usos are going to come out, and they're going to Solo's holding up Sami Zayn. Jey Uso goes for the super kick, and Sami moves out the way, pulls Solo in, super kick to Solo Sikoa, and that ends up costing them the match, and Sami and Kevin get the victory. And the reason for that is there's a few different reasons, but a lot of the big storyline perspective stuff are the big parts of the storyline during this the Bloodline arc have happened on SmackDown, right? They've not happened on the pay-per-view itself. The Sammy one's the major one which went against that at the Rumble, but for the most part, they have been, happening during, like, on episodes of SmackDown coming out of a pay-per-view. So I think the turn, if you want to call it that, will happen next Friday on SmackDown. But I don't actually necessarily think the Usos will be turning on Roman Reigns. I think it might be Roman turning on the Usos and kicking them out, following that, saying, oh, it's another mistake from you. But you may be asking, why do I have Jey Uso super kicking Solo Sikoa instead of Roman Reigns? And the answer to that is, right now, if the Usos left the Bloodline, I don't know if I could, from, storyline perspective, see why Solo would stick with Roman. Because, yes, he's the enforcer or whatever, but he's also brothers with the Usos, right? And they've said that on WWE TV. He is their brother. And, to side with his cousin over his brother, there must be another element to it. And I think Jey, super kicking Solo, even by accident, I think that would be enough for it to make sense. But my prediction here, very comfortably, is Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens getting the victory. But, Shad, I'll go to you first. What is your prediction for this bout?
So last week we spoke about how we felt about the feud, and my dream is Sami Zayn gets 1, 2, 3 pin over Roman Reigns.
Yes.
In Saudi, like, just the magnitude of him being able to go there through all whatever it may be, and how appreciative he is towards it. I really love that moment happening, and how you explained it, it makes me feel like there is going to be some sort of crumble within the bloodline that is going to allow Sami and KO to win. I do think that I think you're going to get the pin on Solo instead of Roman. I don't know if they're going to allow Roman to get the pin, but I think there is going to be some craziness happening, and it's going to allow Sami and KO to win. But I think Sami's going to get the pin over Solo. I don't think they're going to put the titles on Roman and Solo just because Roman's barely on TV. I don't think they need to have the title on Roman for an additional title that he's not going to defend. I think you let KO and Sami finally win, blow off, and beat the bloodline. We end it in Saudi. I got them winning.
Yes, fair enough. I 100% agree with you there. But Clark, what do you think?
So I loved Shad's call. I think it's outstanding. And I mean, honestly, we heard Heyman say that the Usos wouldn't be there. We've heard him say that a lot of times. The Usos will be there in my eyes. And I really like the scenario you presented. I've got a different one in my head for the finish. I'm thinking double Uso super kick on Kevin and a duck. And it hits Roman at the very moment Solo's about to deliver the Samoan spike. And as Roman turns, Sami ducks. And guess who gets the spike? Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns hasn't been pinned in, what is it now, 2 years? And now he can't trust anybody. It's not just the Usos, but his, oh, wait, I don't trust you guys, but I do trust Solo. Shove it in their face. Cracks in the bloodline. We don't need to tell the whole story in one night. It's just another crack. Wait a minute. Solo hit me with the spike? Sami hits a hula kick. KO dumps Solo. 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring. We get Shad's exact moment. We get storytelling coming out of it from the bloodline. The one that he presented, which I think is brilliant. That is the move. Sami pinning Roman Reigns and ending that pinfall streak in the middle of the ring would be iconic. I mean, you can't write it better than that. It's got to land there. I think the way you get there, though, is the Usos try to help, and it looks like they're back on the same page almost. They go for the super kick, and they miss Kevin and hit Roman. As Sami's about to be hit with a Samoan spike, Roman stumbles in, Sami ducks, spike to Roman.
Oh.
Then KO dumps Roman.
That'd be nice.
I mean, I'm sorry. Then KO dumps Solo, stands him up in the corner. Sammy hits a luva kick. Maybe hits a stunner first, and he gets stunned into the corner. Sammy hits a luva kick, so you hit the whole sequence. 1, 2, 3, middle of the ring. Sami Zayn pins Roman Reigns. Not to steal your prediction, Shad, but I had to go full detail because I agree. I think that is the move tonight. Sami Zayn ends that Roman Reigns being pinned streak. Shows some vulnerability because the scorched earth will get coming out of it next week on SmackDown. Roman Reigns blaming everyone. There are so many routes storytelling-wise. You would hope if he didn't take a double super kick, if he didn't take a double super kick, a Samoan spike, a stunner, and a haluva kick, yes, that would make sense. But if 4 finishers are hit on him, and then he does finally take that pin, yes, he did in a tag match. But
which is automatic title
with the
shot.
Moment, I think which is
it's an automatic title shot if you want it to be.
If you want it to be, yeah, right. Booking. Thank you, Coby. I'm like, that's just booking, dude. I would normally, logic-wise, say the same thing. I think in this scenario, especially given the political stuff, and everything, like Sammy deserves this moment. And
100%.
He's deserved it for a long time. He got most of it, but Sammy deserves this moment more than almost anyone. I think it's time to pull the trigger on that. 1, 2, 3, Sami Zayn's in the middle of the ring.
But Coby, what do you think?
I think it's very clear that we all believe and we are all on the side that it is not going to happen with Roman Reigns winning the titles. That is another bad, I don't want to say another bad decision, but that would almost be the worst decision you can make in this scenario, because the biggest thing going on in terms of the bloodline is the drama between Roman Reigns and his own blood. There is no way you can have him win the titles and kind of just, well, where are you going to go from there? Is the real way like, oh, you're going to go to the Roman and Solo versus Usos feud for the titles? That's the one tag feud that does not need the titles at this point. So no, I 100% agree with the statement that they do. Sami Zayn does deserve the victory. I unless you're that gung ho about them getting the match in, like, is Sami Roman 2 in the works? That might be a possibility. If it's not impossible, but then it's like, well, why does Sami have to take another loss if that's the case? So, but it's one of those. Is like they don't. If they want to make that the angle, they can make it the angle. If they don't, they don't have to. It's a guaranteed title shot when they want it to be a guaranteed title shot.
It's poetic justice too.
It is,
like, to just to end the feud off like that. Like, that's what we wanted. We wanted him as the underdog to get his moment to beat Roman in Montreal. Obviously, it didn't happen, but like, I mean, this is the second best thing you can have, man. Like, this is around people that are, like I said, with the same thing with Mustafa Ali, and I'm speaking as a person of same ethnic, background. And I understand and can identify the importance of that. Like, that would just be an incredible moment. Like, you've seen them this week. He got to go on a pilgrimage for his religion and all that. That would like literally be, I don't know, man. If I had to book it, I think Roman can still stay strong. Like Clark was saying, with all, you're talking about his people accidentally hitting him and then several moves being hit to him. That makes him look strong. It's like you needed 4 finishers to get him down to the count. And then, he's going to blame, and it builds the fraction to the bloodline.
Yeah. No, I 100% do see that point there. But, guys, that does bring us to the end of the show. And there's been a few good predictions here today. Let's see what happens, what goes down at Night of Champions tomorrow. Will Roman get pinned? Will Solo get pinned? Or will perhaps Roman and Solo shock us all and actually win the tag titles? We'll have to wait and see, but thank you guys very much for watching. Tomorrow we'll be back at a slightly later start time, basically immediately following the pay-per-view Night of Champions, and we'll keep you updated on the Instagram story and Twitter about that at Wrestling Republic and at Wrestling Republic on Twitter. See you guys tomorrow, and thank you for watching me, and thank you to Coby, Clark, and Shad for joining me here. See you guys tomorrow.